Hello and good afternoon. It is Thursday. That's right. The weeks are going by so quickly, but tonight is the mug rug demo for December. And we are on the make to swap page, the mug rug make to swap page. So hopefully there will be people joining us. Lovely. And the notifications have gone out so that you know it is today rather than yesterday. So I'm sorry about yesterday, but things are just creeping up on me and the time is flying by, and it doesn't leave me enough time to do everything I need to do. Now, if you could possibly say hello, just so that I can see where the comments are coming through, because nearly every time I don't get any comments, but it's not a problem because I will just crack on with the demo. Now, have I brought, just think, oh, I have. Oh, nearly thought I haven't brought this up here, but I have been stitching away today, nowhere near finished. And have I? No, I haven't actually got one up here, but I've got so many book covers to do. I think you can see behind me some of the fabrics, but if you're watching tonight, I won't show you them now. In fact, I will move them away. Let's just put those there. That's sitting those there, because there's no comments as yet. Just so that it's all, I'll give you a sneak peek tonight when I'm doing another demo at 6:30, and I'm going to show you how to make some mini crackers. By that point in time, I should, because what have we got? We are 4:30 now, 5:30. I should have put them on the website. You're commenting, Trish. Yet again, I can't see. Perhaps this page is telling me I should do more lives on it, basically. But never mind. So, although you're commenting, so I'll say hello everybody. I can see names coming up that are watching. So hello to, let's see who there was. Joy, Vivian, Leslie, Gidget Marie, Bridget, Anne, Linda and Val. They're the ones that it's telling me. I don't think that was 14. Hello Ellen as well. So thank you for joining me. I am going to crack on because time is of the essence. And for those of you, you know, that we'll be watching later, it is always going to be on this page for you to look back at and see how we make. So let me, first of all, after the demo is over, lovely Lindsay will be popping the PDF onto the website, and I will put it, I don't put it on the website. It will be in the files in this group. So it will look like this. So you have got a little bit of cutting to do today. It's not massively difficult. And as you can see, I've put here, I'll show you what it's like in a minute. They're greens, 3 greens. One that I'm going to do now to demo, I'm just going to use 2 different greens. The one that I'm going to show you has got all the same, but because it's different all over, it looks as though it could be different fabrics. And then a background colour. So here, whoops, no, that side, BG background. So they're background pieces to cut, only 2 of each size. And then with the greens, or whatever colour you would like to use, these can be all the same colour, 2 colours or 3 colours, and then perhaps a little bit, I put brown here, so you might be guessing exactly what it's going to be. And then these pieces at the bottom here could vary. I have put them at 1.5 inches wide, but depending on how your stitching's gone, you might need to make it a little bit wider or less. It's just to cover the wadding. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't fit exactly and there's a little bit of wadding showing, it will be covered by the binding. So, shall we begin? So we'll have that in the group files, and you will be able to make from there. So I know you can't, well, you are commenting, but I'm not. So as this is the last one, which is quite sad really, but 17 down is not bad at all. And something new coming in the new year. A few things coming new in the new year. But this one I thought, I've heard people say, I don't like applique, so I won't do that one. Or I don't like free motion. But you know, or the majority of you know, that the whole idea of this is it's a learning curve as well. It's trying out new techniques, and even if you don't like the particular technique, give it a go. You know, practice makes perfect, as we all know. So the more you do it, the more familiar you'll be with it, and you'll just take to it, rather than having, it's just a mental block saying, oh, I can't do this. But yes, you can. Just takes time. So here is the very easy, basically, as it's December, I deliberated on so many different ways of doing a Christmas tree, but I thought we will do it like this. Now, if you can see at the top here, that's where I've added an extra little bit of fabric just to cover the wadding. So you may to do this, and the bottom as well. You may need to do this, you may not. But a nice little technique for making the well, they're not snowballed, but they are sort of snowballed. So using fabric to make those triangles rather than making half square triangles or whatever. But lots of ways of doing this, but I thought it was nice and straightforward, nothing too difficult to do, and not too much fabric. So as usual, I mean, I've got red for my backing fabric. You will need a piece of wadding, which is 8 by 5. You will need your backing fabric, which is 10 by 7. And as you already know, it gives an inch on all sides when we're using it to use to do the mitered corners, and I'll be using again the Amazing Mitre tool. So, and if you haven't got your Amazing Mitre tool, I know a lot of you have, I will be having them on the show again a week on Sunday, so I shall have some in stock as well. But here we are. So that's what you need. So I've cut my pieces. I might put a pin in here so we can see. How about, yeah, a little bit further down. How about there? So you can see what we're making. That's quite good. But you won't be able to see it while only while I'm talking. So I have my pieces all cut out. So I have got a bit of fabric, the top one in the measurements as shown on the paper that I showed you there. So there is my top one, and then I've got 2 of my backgrounds. So there are my backgrounds. Put it the right way around. 2 backgrounds and 1 piece, and this is what we're going to make the top of the Christmas tree with. So let me dip you down to here, but I'm going to turn the light off because you like that. Okay, and then we'll close that, and let's just move my, so as usual when I'm doing patchwork, I am going to be using a 1.8 stitch length. So there we go. So what we have our centerpiece of fabric there, and we have also got these 2 background pieces. And what I'm going to do is place the background piece right sides together and match it up with those corners. That's not very good, is it? Okay, so I'm going to match it into that corner, and then if you need to, by all means draw a diagonal line. So thinking of what the top of a Christmas tree looks like, you know where your line is going to be. And on this occasion, we are going to stitch on the line. If you would like to, let me just, if I pop a pin in there, it will hold it in place while I just lift it up. So we have put 1 piece on this side. I've drawn a diagonal line from the center top down to the outer edge, and that, when it's stitched, is going to fold back to give me that point at the top. So I'll just pop that under the machine, and we will stitch across here. Let's just see. There we are. So I've got that all nicely aligned. By all means, oh, typical. We have unthreaded, but never mind. Let us rethread. So pop that across there. And there we are rethreaded. That's sometimes when I go a little bit too quick for the machine, and it doesn't like it. So let's put the thread to the back, because I still like to put the thread to the back, and we'll start right at that corner. Just pop that there, just in case I need the seam ripper. But we're going to stitch along that line, and then we are going to, so having stitched on the line there, I'm now going to trim that outer piece away. Just clip that bit of thread off there and down here, and then we're going to fold that back. So I'm going to fold that back. I am just going to finger press it like so. So we have our piece, and then I'm going to take the other one and pop that into the opposite corner, right sides together, like so. And again, if we want to mark that line, I'm just going to put a little dot there because we can't see the fabric underneath. If I just make a mark there, and then I'm just going to stitch up this diagonal here. There we are. So if you feel that you can just eyeball that diagonal, by all means do that. So again, I've stitched along there, trim that off, and rather than just snowballing, what we've done, there we are, we made like a flying goose. But it isn't an accurate flying geese, because it's a little bit longer. Usually those points are at the edge, but so this is our top piece. So we're doing this as like a piece of patchwork. So there is my first row, and then I'm going to do exactly the same again. Here is my middle row, but you'll notice that these dimensions are different. Off the top of my head, let me just see. So the top row, the green one, was 3.5. So this middle row of the green part is 4 inches. They are all 2 inches wide. So I'm going to pop that piece just like we did before. And I'm going to, again, as I said, I'm just going to put a little mark at the bottom where I can see that coming through, because we're coming to here from that diagonal piece across there, not right to the bottom, not to the bottom of your piece of fabric. So what you must remember as well, you always need to do, don't think about putting 2 pieces of fabric on, so the other side one, because it won't work. It will basically stitch your fabric down. And what we need to do is always put one side on, stitched across there, trim it off, and flip it back. So before we do, it doesn't matter whether you leave the seam there and flip it over, or I'm quite often used to tucking it under there. So basically the seam is under there. So I'm just going to finger press. Be careful, because that's a bias edge and it's a bit stretchy. So there's our one piece done. Now we're going to do on the other side. And so I'm going to line that up here. So it's easier to turn it to the side a little bit, but line that perfectly along there. And again, I would just mark at that bottom corner there. That's where the fabric goes to. So we are stitching up here. So again, I am just eyeballing my diagonal line and hopefully come off, which we did there. Oh dear. Whoops. Right, now my pencil's just disappeared. Oh, it's like pins, they fall off and you can never find them. Okay, so I've just trimmed that other edge away there, and then I'm going to fold that over. Now normally we would say, oh look, the point is right on the edge. That is meant to be, so don't worry about that. Then we'll take our third strip. So this strip is 2 inches wide by 5 inches, and then my square is they're 2-inch squares. So with this one's a lot easier because it will actually fit your strip. Oh, that's if you cut it accurately. And we're just going to stitch across that diagonal because the square, as I say, is the same size as the strip of fabric. So we are making a triangle corner. And on this one, we could actually, because they're not overlapping, we could actually put that one on there too. And so we have gone that way. We're now going to go in the opposite direction. Just looking for my... So where did that pencil drop? Oh, goodness gracious me. It just... Oh, right, let's see if I can find a pen. Oh, I have. So we've got a friction pen. That's good. So this seam went... Let's just go across here because it's going to be cut off. So that seam went in that direction. The opposite one is going to, let's use a ruler, and then we will get a nice straight line, is going on the opposite diagonal. So let's just do that backwards and forwards. So we have, this is how your second piece is going to be. I've stitched that one, we just need to stitch this one, which is the other way. So back under the machine again, and we can stitch on that line. And the only reason that we can put both pieces on is because they're not overlapping in the middle. So we're just going to trim that away now. So I'm just going to, about 1/4 of an inch, I think that's a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch, but it doesn't matter. And then this piece here. So we've cut our 2 pieces off, and then like I did before, I'm just going to finger press that open, and similarly here. And so we have a strip now with a bigger area here of the green. So all we are going to do now is take our 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to join them together. So, oh, actually we'll do our 4th piece first because we've got a stem, haven't we? We've got a trunk. So we'll put, I've got those 3 that are going to go like that. This piece, this is our trunk in the middle, and here are our 2, that way, that way. So they're it's 2 inches deep, and we're just going to stitch a piece of the background to each side. So no angled stitching. We're just going to just stitch a true 1/4 of an inch seam down each side, like so. So there's our first one, and pull that back, finger press that, and then we'll put the second one on here, align that edge, and pop that under, and stitch down here. There we are, and trim that off. So all we need to do is just open that out, finger press or press. So that is going to be our base, followed by our bottom section and our middle section and our top there. So all we're going to do is put them together now. So the first thing I'm going to do is like so. Now remember I said this point is right on the edge. That doesn't matter because it's where the Christmas tree joins. So we're just going to flip that like so, line up those outer edges, give it a little pull if it doesn't quite meet on one to the other, because it should be about 5 inches wide. With the bits of stitching, it does narrow it down a little bit. Let's just pull that away. Okay, let's just line that up. If we line it up just like we've done the other week and put a couple of stitches in there, then it is anchored. Right, that's anchored. Now just pull those pieces so they match at this end here, and just make sure they align nicely where our Christmas tree is, and hopefully that hasn't stitched that down. Just make sure that lies flat like so. So there we have, oh, it has stitched it, never mind. There we have our top of the tree with our second tier. Now we're going to put our 3rd tier on here, right sides together. So again, line that piece up there, pop it under the foot, do a few stitches, and that's anchored. And this is, as I say, it's shrunk just a little bit, so just give that a little pull so it lines up at this end. Pull that down so it still lines up along here. So let's just pull that like that. Pop a pin in it. Pop a pin in it. Haven't said that for a long time, have I? Just to keep that nicely aligned, and then stitch across. So that is the third layer there, and you can see how that joins now, and that bit, you've got a nice bit joining the top layer, and there, we'll press this in a minute, and then we've just got our bottom layer here, and again we're going to place that right sides together, and we will do exactly the same. Align that edge, just do a couple of stitches in there so that we can just pull that across, and that lines up perfectly then. Whoops, not quite perfectly. That's it. And I'm just going to pull that little bit because I can see more tree stump. There we go. So that's all aligned up along that edge and straight across there. Okay, so there we have our little tree. Nice and easy, don't you think? So now we just need, I may need the, what may I need? I've got these two little strips here. Now they're too long, I know, but, oh, have I turned it on? Oh, have I not plugged it in? No, I thought I'd plugged it in. I haven't. Okay, plugged in now. Okay, so these pieces, when we have a look at the, I could either do it now. When we look at our wadding, this might be too short, so I might need to put a little bit down here and a little bit at the top. But we'll wait until I've pressed this out. And say, then we'll look at the wadding. I've got a seam that is, and that is very naughty to do that, but that's what I tend to do. Just snip it. If one of your seams is tucked the wrong way, I just tend to snip it so that it lies flat. And then what we're going to do here is I'm just going to press these seams down. You could press them up, doesn't really matter. Oops, that's press that seam the wrong way. There we go, and then press that one down too. At the end of the day, it's a mug rug, so any bulk along there, it'll be hidden. I don't think it's going to knock your cup over, your mug over. So let's just press that, and then just press it on this way too. So let's just push that out like so. Now it may be that, I don't think that is going to be long enough, but what we're going to do is add a little bit. So let us just pop our, so we'll get our piece of wadding there, and then we're going to pop, oh, I do need a little bit there. Okay, so that's okay from side to side, but we do just need a bit of extra fabric to go at the top here to cover that wadding. And so we're just going to put a little bit right sides together. Now what I'm going to do on this side, I'm going to trim that off there, and then at the bottom also like so, and I'll trim that off, and we don't need those pieces there. So that's going to be right sides together on the bottom piece there, and right sides together there. Now because I've laid it onto my wadding, I'm actually going to stitch through this, and then it will anchor that the rest of the patchwork to the wadding, which because there's no other piece attaching it. So I can see that's not going to be too much bigger than I need. So I'm actually going to do a slightly smaller than a 1/4 inch seam so that I get enough. So there's enough fabric. There we are, I'm popping that along there. So I'm probably only doing 1/8 of an inch seam. It's purely to cover up that wadding. And actually I should have done a bigger stitch when I'm stitching through wadding, but never mind. Okay, so again, so I've just turned it down to the other end, the other side there. And we got any comments yet? No comments as yet, but I know you are commenting, but I can't see any. Okay, so now we have those pieces here. all I'm going to do is flip that back. Now you see that's not quite covered my wadding, but when the binding goes on, but at that end it does. Okay, so that's covered. Here it doesn't matter. Can you see there's a little bit of wadding exposed, but when the binding comes it's going to go over the top of that anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. The edges, okay, that's not quite to the edge there. It is there. The only thing I would trim away is any excess from around. Can you see there's only the tiniest little bit here, because our mug rug is going to be exactly the size of our wadding, being 8 by 5. So if we trim away, they're just some threads. But no, there's nothing. Oh, there's a tiny bit, the tiniest of bits there. But otherwise, that is absolutely fine. So we have our tree on the top. We've now got our piece of backing fabric, which we're placing right side down. And then we are going to place our mug rug in the centre, so that it is an inch bigger on each side. Now, to make sure that is central, I'm just using, this is my 1 1/4 inch ruler, but there's a nice dashed line along there, so I know that needs to be on the edge, and that looks slightly skew, so it just needs to come down a little bit that way. So that's it. No, that's better. So it's 1 inch there. Nope, it needs to come over this way a little bit. I should have stood up, and then I could probably have seen a bit better. There we go. So that looks a little bit better. That looks, so I'll do this again here now. So that's much better. That's 1 inch there. That is 1 inch to that side. I'm going to the edge of the wadding here. Yeah, that's 1 inch. So this must be 1 inch if my cutting was good. Okay, so I've got that all centered. If you want to make, so this backing is 10 inches this way, 7 that. If you wanted to make it bigger, so if you wanted to make it 11 by 8, it just means your binding will be that bit wider. And what it will do, it will take over the point here. Now mine takes over a little bit, but it depends. If you don't mind, then do a wider binding, sorry. So next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to put a few pins. I haven't used adhesive spray, so I'm just going to put a pin or two just to anchor the mug rug to the backing fabric. So I'm just putting through there, and then we'll do one down here, because I want to leave it so that when we come to do the binding, or rather do the mitered corners by bringing the fabric over. So there we are. Because now we're going to fold in these edges. The rest of it, for those of you, there's still no comments, okay. You may know exactly how, well, you will know exactly how to do it. So I'm just doing it for any newbies that may not have done this before or used the mitre tool. But we're just folding the raw edges into the edge of the wadding. So it is easier to stand up to do this, because you want that to go, and try not to iron your wadding because it will stick to it. And then we'll just turn that round again, and we're folding so the raw edge just touches the edge of the wadding, and you know then that that has become a ½ inch binding, because it was 1 inch and we've folded it in half. But it means there's no measuring, which is always good. But just by folding it in half, your measuring is against the edge of the wadding. So last side coming up. Okay, and it doesn't matter that those bits overlap at the corners, because in a moment we're going to trim them off. So now we'll bring in our cutting mat, and the first thing I'm going to do, which the pen was really good, but there's not my tool. So got the Amazing Mitre tool here, which is going to help us in a moment. But I am going to just draw in these creases. So you can either do that with your mitre tool by popping that in. Now, because I've got a pin with a head, that is not good. So what we want, a pin with a flat head. And if you've got a flat head like these clover pins, it means this lies flat. So you open out your, what we've just pressed, and we lay that angled corner into the corner here so that we can draw along that crease line. So we only want to do it for a couple of inches, but so you can see there, that black line I've drawn, and then just swivel that round, and again, whoops, where's my ruler? There it is. Swivel it round so we've got it into that right angled corner. It just goes straight in there, hold it down, and then you can draw along the edge, and that's just drawing into the fold line that we have just made. And again here, so I've got a pin there which is not good. Okay, so I'm just making marks in there because they're all going to be hidden, but they are, let's see if I can draw that myself. It is better with the ruler because you can get it absolutely straight, but as I'm standing up I can see that crease line. So you can see there I've got a nice black line in there. Now we are going to do our trimming off, which is going to make our mitre. So, oh, we can see it back better there. What I'm going to do is line up this square here, and I'm going to line that up on the edge of my mug rug. So that is going to fit, and then we're going to trim along this long edge. So I'm just popping that on there. You probably won't be able to see because it's white wadding, but I can see that point is right on the corner, and that fits, that line there, that square, if you like, fits onto, and then it leaves a 1/4 of an inch here, which is where we're going to trim that off. So let's get a rotary cutter. So all trimmed off. And then we're going to spin it round to the next side, and again line those white lines up and trim it off. Move it round to the next side, align that square with your wadding. So there we go, and then we can trim that off, and then the last one here. So the wadding is what you use. Most of it is covered with fabric, but that one isn't, but that is absolutely fine. So now that I have, the mitre's done its job, and we have the rug with all its corners cut off. So what we do at this point, let's just pick that pin up, is let's turn it over, because we need to put these corners right sides together. So we're going to fold it up. There we are, we've got the markings on that side. We're going to fold it up, and this cut edge here, we're going to align it. So you can see there my black line. Where that black line is, we're going to stitch from there, from exactly on that line, down to this folded bit. So there's your fold. I'm just going to fold it down like that. We're going to stitch from the black line down to the fold with a 1/4 of an inch. So by all means pin this if you want to. I'll pin the first one. So pin that together so that lines up exactly. Okay, and I'm going to flip it over because I need to stitch now. So I've got that out of the way, and this is where I'm going to look. So a 1/4 of an inch seam, and I'm looking for that black line because I want the needle to go straight down into that black line, and then a couple of stitches and a couple of stitches down to the fold, and reverse a couple and cut. So there's only, what, 6 stitches I think, but you can see there I've started at the black line, stitched down to the fold, and then cut the thread. So we now move round to the next one, and again, right sides together, so easier to flip it over, right sides together, line up that edge, look for your dark line there, and then just fold the mug rug out of the way. That's why we need the backing to be, see that's come apart now, that's why we need the backing to be slightly free to make it easier. So I'm just holding my edges together there and pushing down so they don't come apart, taking it to the machine, looking for that black line, and I see it there. So a couple of stitches, couple back, whoops, I haven't got it on my smallest stitch, I do like to have, and back at the, when we get to the fold, reverse there. I do like to have a small stitch for the patchwork. So again, right sides together. So there it is here. Line up that black line that we've drawn. Flip it over and take that out of the way. Under the machine and onto. No, you won't be able to see in there, but it's going directly onto the black line that I've drawn. So a couple of stitches forwards and backwards, and again at the bottom. So that's 3 done. And then the fourth one is here. So again, push it back so it's right sides together. And then align that diagonal line. Take care not to stretch it. And then we're just going to flatten this down because we're going to stitch again. So we'll take that under, there we go. And a couple of stitches forward, couple back, down to the fold and back and cut. Right, so now let's just take that back a little bit. We're going to trim these threads off because we don't want these little bits here. And similarly here, just trim that thread away. Take care not to cut your fabric. I've done that before and quite recently too, so it happens. And there we are, so we've trimmed those away. So now we do not, quite often when you've got that edge there, you cut it, but we don't on this occasion. What we're going to do, I'm going to put my finger, you see there's a little hole there, I'm going to put my finger in there, and then with the seam here, flatten it down. And when you flatten it down, push your finger through to there's your mitre. So again, finger into the pocket, thumb press it down, and then just turn it through. Again, finger in the pocket, flatten that seam, and then just push it to the right side. We're going to finger in the pocket, flatten it down, turn it to the right side. And what it does, it actually is being used to give that nice, it lays flat in the corner, but can you see what a beautiful mitre that already is? So that's one. So I'm just using a knitting needle, chopsticks, something, not scissors preferably, but I have been known to use scissors. So I'm just pushing that gently out. And as I say, that seam that we folded over is just lying flat in the middle, helping that to make a lovely mitre. So, and there's another one there with a beautiful point. So at the moment, it looks a little bit strange. But all we need to do now is tuck these corners of the mug rug into the corners. And that again is why I left the pins in there, because it holds it in place rather than you having to try to find exactly the right place for the mug rug to actually fit back in. So once we've put that in, we can just push the knitting needle around, and it just flattens out the mug rug inside. So again here we've got this bottom end, we need to tuck the wadding into that corner and also into this one. Now this is the end that was a bit short, but as you can see, the binding is going to cover that up. So again, just push the knitting needle in there, and then it flattens out our wadding. That's it, and that's gone nicely into the corner. And then these bits that we've pressed, just refold those so that the raw edges are going underneath. So just move that out a little bit, make sure that's all down. And then I'm just tucking my fingers in there and here, just pushing them back. So at this point, what I will do, I'll take a pin from the center and just pin it into, excuse me, just push it into the, that's not very flat there, into the binding just to hold it down, or the, that's come over from the other side. So there's a pin there. So let's just push that over too. And we can either do it one of either two ways. And there's a flat one as well. Now, just push that binding in and put a pin here. And similarly on this side, push the binding under and then lay it flat on the top. So we'll have a pin just to hold that. And then the last corner here, push that binding back. And also just make sure that it's all covered there. And we'll put a pin or a clip. Clips are always good here as well. Put a clip there to hold it. So there is the binding ready to stitch around. So all I'm going to do now is, oh, there's some comment. Is that a comment? Oh, yes. There's Ellen. Lovely. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So I'm just going to, I'll have a little chat in a moment. But what I'm going to do now is just to stitch around the top here. Now this one, I've got white thread on. Shall we do white thread? Yeah, let's. My original one, I have got, let's see, I've used red thread, which is so much better. But I'm going to do white thread on here. So just make sure, what I tend to do, sometimes people say that doesn't go very straight. So I would just pull it into a straight line, so it looks straight now, as I'm stitching, or put lots of pins along there just to keep it nice and straight. So I will, now the other thing I've noticed, I would put my stitch length back to a normal, so 2.5 or longer. If you go too tiny, what it does, it makes the edge of your stitching here stand up, because I wondered why one of my mug rugs, it stood up, and I just thought, what is going on? And then I noticed I was on a 1.8 stitch length. So because you're going through a few layers of fabric, etc., I would definitely just make sure you're not doing too small a stitch. So I've gone back to the default of 2.5, and I'm just going to stitch along this edge here. So I'm using my foot as a guide there. I'm going to take that off now because I'm just going to pull this a little bit more. So pull it at the mitre, and then that keeps that nice line straight. And what I'm looking for here is to hit the actual mitre in the mitre, in that diagonal, so then I can turn that around, and I know then that's in exactly the right place to carry on stitching along here. So again, I'm just waiting for that mitre to show. One more, I think. Yeah, we are in there. And then around we go. I'll take that pin out because I want to sort of pull that nice and straight myself, so that it's the same distance the whole way along. So we can just carry on stitching here. And just looking at this end here, I obviously didn't start, oh, that's better, completely on the line. So there's a tiny little gap, but we will sort that out in a moment. So I'm looking for that. There we are. So we're in the mitre itself. I'm coming around to our fourth edge. So I can just pivot around, and the needle will be in exactly the right place. So we're coming up to that mitre again. I've stitched with white thread, which is why I can see, no, we haven't actually gone into that mitre. That's better. So that needs to be in exactly the stitching, and then we will just carry on, and I'm just going to meet that first few stitches and stitch over the top of them. If you reverse, you're more likely to be able to see. So flip that over and we'll trim those threads off there, and we're done. Oh, there's a pin, another pin in there. So there is our second mug rug. So I'll show you now. There we go. Okay, so here we have our first one, and here we have our second. So you can see the the white stitching. I think the red stitching is hidden, whereas the white stitching shows. And not perfect, but not too bad at all. But there we are. So it is as simple as that. I'm just looking at that along there. Now that was where, that's it. So this is where, if I'd made my strip a little bit wider, it's just, I could have quilted there as well, couldn't I? But actually that's not too bad now. So nice and easy, nice and, or straightforward, isn't it? Not too, oh, that's it. One looked bigger than the other. But, yeah, so there are the mug rugs for this month, if you would like to take part. Lindsay will be popping up a post to sign up to this. Oh, hello, Jeter. I don't think I have. I may have one left. So, yeah, be in touch. I think I have just got one. I've got some more coming in, but they won't be here till a week on Friday. So, oh, that's lovely, Elaine. Okay, but the mitre tool really does help you get. I don't mind showing you those mitres every single time. Can you see, like, and you can do this. It's not me. So that mitre, that mitre, that mitre, that mitre. I mean, how many times when you've mitered, you put a post up, lovely, thank you. Did you message about the PDF? No, I didn't. Oh, it's not attached. Oh, perhaps I forgot. I will do it when when I've finished this. So yeah, as I say, when I use the mitre tool, I don't mind showing. So that's 8 mitres on those 2 mug rugs, and they're upside down. And I don't mind showing you, because now in the past, before the mitre tool, I could not guarantee to have 3 out of 4 perfect mitres, but they do, and you've proven it. Okay, so Lindsay's going to put a post up once I've sent the PDF through, because I sent the email this morning and I didn't attach it. I remember now I didn't. Okay, Tony, how dare she? How very dare she? Okay, Marion. So I should be back at 6:30 with the mini crackers, a little bit different. And I shall put the new pattern on the website and some kits, but you'll be able to see the colours of them later on. Glynis loves hers. So it is 5:20. That means I've got a few moments. Last chapter in the book. Aha. Lovely. Lovely. Yes, I'll see you at 6:30, which doesn't give me long. But I'll be back with the mini cracker. So thank you for joining me today. Look out for the post for the to sign up. And if you haven't done last month's one, perhaps think about doing that as well. But you'll have until, we usually do it a little bit earlier in December, purely because of post. You never know. But thanks for joining me, and I'll see you a bit later. Bye for now.